If this offseason has taught us anything, it's, well, two things. One, patience is a virtue because it is January 17th when I'm recording this, and we still have a lot of moves yet to see. Free agency is far from over. And the second being, you best be a fan of Los Angeles if you want any intrigue in the offseason because they dominate everything. Today, I figure I would talk about some teams that I think have won the offseason, that being through free agency signings and trades alike, and also some teams that I'm pretty disappointed by. We're going to talk about that today. Leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments section, how has your team fared? Has your team made a single move? Have they spent a dime? Also, a quick shout out to Underdog Fantasy. They have their full season MLB pick'em slips available, and now is a great time to get into it. Pick the over or the under on a variety of player stat props for the 2024 season. And right now, you guys can use my promo code GOMES and get a $100 deposit match. Thank you to Underdog for sponsoring the channel. We're positive people here, or at least I'd like to think so. So let's begin with the winners, starting with the Bronx. I like what the Yankees did quite a bit. The marquee move being the trade for Juan Soto. I mean, you bring in one of the best hitters in all of baseball, one of the best players in all of baseball. What's not to like, at least for the 2024 season? We'll see if they can come to terms with a long-term contract extension. I really like what I see with Juan Soto, so I'm ecstatic that the Yankees brought him in. Of course, it did result in them trading Michael King, who was going to be probably like the number 2, number 3 guy in that rotation, but we'll talk about their pitching a little bit later. They also brought in another outfielder via trade, that being Alex Verdugo. Verdugo always intrigues me because I think so many people just put a label on him because he was the big name in the Mookie Betts trade. But you have to add in the context that the Red Sox didn't have much leverage because it was known they weren't going to pay him and he was on the last year of his deal. That limits what you could get in a trade for a superstar like Mookie Betts. So if you take that away, Verdugo's had a pretty good career so far. He doesn't hit for much power, but he hits for average, and he's got a plus arm, even if he doesn't have a ton of range out there in the outfield. They brought in Marcus Stroman, who is a ground ball first pitcher. Don't expect too many strikeouts, but the key stat for him, 0.6 home runs per 9, towards the top of the league last year in 2023. So that's who they brought in, and of course they traded out Michael King. They lost Domingo Germán and Luis Severino, 2 guys in that rotation last year. A couple mid-level relievers, IKF and Higashioka. I think that's definitely a plus for the Yankees, especially considering the offseason not being over. And guys like Volpe are only going to get better, and they're going to get Jason Dominguez back at some point in the summer. I do want to take a look at the rotation because right now it sits Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, Nestor Cortez, and Clark Schmidt. Of course, you got the reigning Cy Young Award winner, which is great, Marcus Stroman. I like him as a number 3. He's not an ace quality guy or anything, but the other 3 do have question marks attached. I'm a believer in Carlos Rodon. I think he's too good to perform like he did last year again, especially because he was hurt. You know, he missed the first half of the season. Add in the pressure of playing on a big contract in New York. I'm not excusing the play, but it certainly doesn't make it very easy for Carlos Rodon. You've also got Nestor Cortez, bit of a question. Excellent in 2022, injuries and poor performance derailed his 2023, and then Clark Schmidt. We talked about him in the MLB 17 draft video, ton of injuries so far in his career, but he has had bright spells. So we're going to look to see what that rotation looks like, but they added in lefty hitters, which they desperately needed. The only big concern with the whole Juan Soto ordeal is the outfield. Right now it's projected that he's going to be in left field, Aaron Judge in center, and Verdugo in right. That's not a whole lot of range, really. I mean, you've got good arms in center and in right field, but Judge is far better as an edge defender, right field being his primary spot. So that is an area of concern in my opinion, but overall, pretty good offseason for New York. The Atlanta Braves have had a very interesting winter thus far because they haven't really signed anybody. They've done all of it on the trade market. So far, they've traded for reliever Aaron Bummer from the White Sox. They've traded for Jared Kelenic. They've traded for Max Stassi, David Fletcher, and Chris Sale. 5 players brought in through trades, all of which, in my opinion, with question marks attached. I mean, Aaron Bummer was really good as a lefty reliever out of that White Sox bullpen from, I think, 2019 till last year where he struggled. He's always been a high strikeout, high walk guy, but I do like what Bummer brings to the table. You look at Jarred Kelenic coming from the Seattle Mariners, coming off his best season, which isn't saying a whole lot because he was dreadful in 2021 and 2022. He had brief spells in those 2 seasons, and last year, even in his best season, you really only had the first half where he looked like a very good player, and then he dipped off considerably in the second half. A big thing for Kelenic, he strikes out and he swings and misses a lot. Bottom 10 percentile in both of those categories, but he does walk at about a 10% clip, which is redeeming. And from the looks of it, there's probably going to be a spot. I would guess Kelenic probably slots in at left field. We'll see how spring training goes. We'll see how early season goes. But, I mean, good chance that he could be a starting quality outfielder for the Braves alongside Mike Harris and Ronald Acuna Jr. And the big addition, of course, is Chris Sale into that rotation. You know, bringing in a World Series champion, a not quite Cy Young Award winner, but very close a handful of times, that has just had his career derailed since 2019 due to injury. If you can get a healthy 25 starts, I think Chris Sale can be a pretty damn good pitcher because he still has everything that makes him effective. Looking at last season, it really wasn't that bad. He had a whip at 1.1. His K per 9 was sitting at 11. The walks a little bit high at 2.5 compared to, you know, his peak. But other than that, I mean, he was still an above average pitcher, and that clearly wasn't the Chris Sale that we come to expect. So I think good things can be in store for him in 2024. And overall, the Braves, they did lose Kyle Wright and Mike Soroka, two pretty high prospects that they ended up trading. Then relievers such as Nick Anderson, Kirby Yates, they left. Brad Hand as well, Nicky Lopez, Eddie Rosario. Overall, net win for the Braves, and a lot of that core is just going to keep getting better alongside the reigning unanimous MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr. Let's talk Cincinnati, because I like what the Reds have put together this winter as well, on top of course, that dangerous young core that really came out of nowhere for a lot of people last season. They added in Jeimer Candelario, who had a good season in Washington and came off firing out of the gates with the Cubs after he got traded there. I think it's a nice pickup. They brought in 3 new pitchers. Frankie Montas is going to slot into that rotation. He was a big name on the trade market. Back in 2022, he went to the Yankees. It didn't go very well. Last year, he pitched, I think, 1 inning in total, so you don't know entirely what you're going to get there. But if he can bring back anything that he had in Oakland, I think you're looking at a good get. And then Nick Martinez, kind of a flex player, at least he was with the Padres. He started sometimes. I like him. His home runs stay pretty down. He is going to a home run heavy ballpark, however, at Great American. And then Emilio Pagan, which is a very interesting name for me as a Twins fan, because if this was last year that they signed him, I would say that's a terrible deal. You know, but Emilio Pagan did surprise me in 2023. The Twins pitching staff worked with him quite a bit. His strikeouts went down, but so did his home runs, and he became a far more effective pitcher. And as far as who they lost, I mean, Joey Votto, he might come back, he might not. Doesn't seem like he's going to. And then Nick Senzel, you know, another top prospect that just didn't really pan out. Not really losing too much on the end for Cincinnati. The big thing you look at, you know, hopefully a healthy Tyler Stevenson at catcher, and then everything else. You know, Ellie De La Cruz there for a full season, Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, all the guys that they have there. Jake Fraley also had a really good season. There's so much young talent on that team. You know, I'm looking further than just new acquisitions. Time spent getting them better is going to make that team pretty dangerous. They won the National League, and they're one of the winners of the offseason as well. The Arizona Diamondbacks. I really like what the Snakes have done this winter. Start off with a big signing for that rotation. Eduardo Rodriguez didn't want to get traded at the deadline, which there was a lot of buzz because he was pitching really well in Detroit, and he's ending up on a pretty nice deal. I believe $80 million for 4 seasons with the D-backs, and he's really going to help out that rotation, which of course features Zach Gallen, top-tier Cy Young candidate. Merrill Kelly was very good last year. Brandon Pfaadt really came alive in the postseason. If they get those 4 locked and loaded, that's a formidable 4. They re-signed Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who had a very nice 2023, kind of surprisingly. You know, he was seen as more of an afterthought in that Dalton Varsho, Gabby Moreno trade, which right now it really seems like the Diamondbacks are coming out as winners on that. Then they also traded for Eugenio Suarez from Seattle, who's an interesting name. I mean, he hits a lot of home runs. He strikes out a lot. Those guys are difficult. They'll go on great hot streaks, and then they'll go on pretty big cold snaps as well. So it's ebbs and flows. But Suarez really surprised me with the glove last year. He was really good at third base, surprisingly. So that is a welcome sight to see. They lose Tommy Pham, Evan Longoria, 2 guys that were, Pham especially, pretty good in October for him. Started a lot of games. But overall, I think it's pretty great for them. You add in an all-star caliber pitcher in Eduardo Rodriguez. Like we talked about with the Reds, they're getting better. You know, Corbin Carroll, who's had like a year and a half of experience already, he's going to just keep getting better. You got guys like Christian Walker, Gabby Moreno. There's a lot to like in the desert. And obviously, the winners of the offseason has been the Los Angeles Dodgers. This shouldn't come as even a close question. I mean, if you bring in Shohei Ohtani, they probably just won the offseason based off that alone. And then they added Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you know, probably the top 2, 3 starting pitchers on the market. They traded for Tyler Glasnow, all-star level pitcher. They brought in Teoscar Hernandez. They re-signed Jason Hayward. Ohtani, of course, will not pitch in 2024. He will hit. He will DH. He's going to bring in a ton of money. He's going to bring in a ton of exposure. And he's also going to bring, you know, MVP caliber bat, which is going to be dangerous alongside Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Yoshinobu, I've made a full video talking about him. Really, really love him. I think he's going to be excellent in his first season overseas here in the United States. Teoscar's been a bit hit and miss. I don't think he's a great glove. He strikes out a lot. You know, he's a lot like his Seattle teammate, Eugenio Suarez. You know, he'll hit some home runs, he'll strike out. That's kind of what you come to expect. And then Jason Hayward. Yeah, I didn't say that as a joke. If you didn't watch last season, Jason Hayward was a very good player for the Dodgers when they signed. I believe they signed him to a minor league deal just before the season. He contributed quite a bit. Now they did lose. They might lose Kershaw. We don't really know what's going to happen with Clayton. It's like a yearly reality show, soap opera that comes on. You know, is he going to go to Texas, his hometown state? Is he going to retire? Is he going to come back to the Dodgers and pitch 100 innings? We don't know. And then they did lose Ahmed Rosario and JD Martinez as well. Now, interesting for the Dodgers is they are getting back a Walker Buehler and a Gavin Lux. We kind of know what to expect from Walker Buehler if he can stay healthy, but Gavin Lux is a bit more of a wild card, a former very high prospect that never really had a chance to get his footing at the major league level. Supposedly is going to be their starting shortstop, or at least that is the plan. Now, 2 things for the Dodgers. They got way better. They added an MVP candidate, two Cy Young candidates, really. But the second thing is that rotation still has concerns. It's different concerns, though. Previously, before the offseason, you look at it, there's a lot of inexperienced young pitchers. It doesn't really seem like the kind of rotation you'd want to trot out come October. But now if you look at it, there's still questions. You've got Yoshinobu, which, all things considered, has been very healthy when he pitched in Japan. Like we said, Shohei, he won't pitch at all next year. We don't really know what the scope of Shohei's pitching career is going to be. Tyler Glasnow. He's going to turn 31 this year, and the most innings he's pitched is 120. He's never been healthy in his career, but when he has been healthy, he's been very good. You look at Walker Buehler, coming off his second Tommy John surgery. There's still a lot of question marks there. They do have some young guys who I like. Bobby Miller, Emmett Sheehan, who can fill in the gaps if need be. And eventually, you'd like to think that guys like Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, probably not going to be pitching this year, but next year they'll be back in the rotation. There's still questions in Los Angeles, but fantastic offseason. They've definitely won this winter. And I want to talk about some offseason losers. We won't spend as much time here because one, the offseason isn't over. This literally happened. I wrote my notes yesterday, and one of these teams has made a move that I like since then. And then also, it's just tough to say. I'd like to talk more of the positives opposed to the negatives. But we'll start with Toronto. The Blue Jays confuse me because they've got a lot of questions going forward, but they're the team that I referenced there because they did sign Cuban 26-year-old Yariel Rodriguez. A lot of you guys probably saw him pitch in the World Baseball Classic, and he was very good in the NPB. But the moves they made, they retained Kevin Kiermaier, they re-signed him, and then they brought in Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Yankees. They lost Hyun-Jin Ryu, they lost Matt Chapman, Brandon Belt, Jordan Hicks, and Whit Merrifield. And to me, it just seems, I don't know what the plan is because Vlad is due for a contract extension. He hasn't gotten it. We don't know how much he's going to get, how much he wants, but he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2027, as will Bo Bichette. And it kind of seems like the clock is ticking for that team right there to make a decision on what they want to do. They missed out on a lot of top-tier names these past 2 seasons in free agency. This year alone, they're perceived as a finalist for both Ohtani and Yamamoto. If you look at that core of Vlad, Bo, and then in that rotation, Gausman, and I'd put Barrios in there as well, you start to wonder, are you going to make the next step? They've not won a postseason game in a while, under this new regime that they've been in. So I'd like to see them try and figure out something to do. Yariel Rodriguez is a good start, but they certainly need more in Toronto. We'll move on to the White Sox, who they're on here not because they didn't sign Ohtani. They're on here because they haven't really made a decision on their future. Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez, which I'm not saying that this is easy. Those two have not made the job for the front office very simple because they had bad seasons. Dylan Cease was excellent. He was the Cy Young runner-up in 2022, and he did not look quite as good, not nearly as good. The ERA about 2 whole points plus above in 2023. Now, the underlying metrics are still pretty good. I think you can definitely convince teams to give you a good package, but I think the White Sox are expecting a great package. Now, Dylan Cease, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. And then Eloy Jimenez, kind of again, he had his worst year last year. I mean, it's just tough. It comes at poor timing because you want to get as much as you can out of these guys because they've been in your org for many years. You know how good they are. But you got to convince other teams to look past the recency bias. Look at what they've done prior. But overall, I just like the White Sox to kind of make a decision on their future, which they really haven't done yet. And then the Angels, of course, you kind of have to put them here as they lost the best player in baseball. And it's kind of just been a snowball effect for Anaheim. Of course, Mike Trout has been injured like the past, like 2019, really. He hasn't put together a full season. It seems like they are not interested in trading him, which I don't really understand. I guess if you're thinking out of fan interest, losing both of those guys in one season is going to be a massive hit to ticket sales. But long term, you got to think of what's best for your ball club. Now, it's difficult because, of course, they lost out on prospects. They made the trades for Giolito, Cron, Grichuk, Reynaldo Lopez. They tried at the deadline. It didn't work, and they failed miserably because all of them were pretty much gone like a month later at that point. And their farm system suffered as a result of it, and it's just going to make this rebuild even more challenging going forward. It's difficult to blame them for making an honest attempt to keep Ohtani there, showing Shohei that they want to try and win. But these things happen, and you just got to live with the results. So, yeah, overall, that is my take on the offseason. Teams that I think particularly have stood out, and I'm very excited for their future in 2024, and some teams that are just kind of struggling in direction right now. So let me know in the comment section. As I said, free agency far from over. We still got Blake Snell. We have Cody Bellinger. We've got big names yet to sign, and I'm very excited to see where you guys think they will land. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching.